Hey my friends, Kirby here of KirbyAndersen.com. Thank you for taking a few moments to join with me. I'm really excited to take these next few moments and share with you about my top 10 list of actions that I like to take for the upcoming new year. And at the time I'm recording this, it is just about New Year's, and man, do I get excited this time of year. I love a fresh start, and I'm sure that you do too. There's something just very exciting about looking forward to the future and being able to slam the door on all that junk in the past year that really wasn't all that great. But for the last number of years, I've made it my habit on the few days going up to the beginning of the year is to go up about 30,000 feet, figuratively, and just to evaluate the major areas of my life. I know that you're like me. You want to be able to set some goals and get after it, and especially all those things that you have within your control. You want to make them better. But I have just found that it's best if you take just a few moments to reflect on the past year to give yourself a good frame of reference for the upcoming year. Take some time to consider what went right this last year. What are you excited about? What are you grateful for? Celebrate those wins. Build on that momentum. But at the same time, there's probably some things that took place this last year that you wish would have gone differently. And many of those things were within your control, and so we need to ask ourselves, what do I want to do different in this upcoming year if I get in that same situation again? As I ask those questions, begin to reflect a little bit, that gives me the frame of reference to help make the improvements in my life, in the major areas of my life, that are really going to make the biggest difference for this upcoming year. But that's for the things that we're in control of. And I also have a number of actions that I've already set in place, but I need to take some time at the beginning of the year to make sure they're all up to date and help me to prepare for the unexpected. And we know that there's plenty of those things. We don't like to admit it, but we know what's going to happen. In fact, some things are just inevitable. We just don't know the time frame. I like to expect the best, but I also like to prepare for the worst. So with that, let me share with you my top 10 actions that help me to do that, to prepare both for the things that I'm excited about and to work towards making things better that I can control, and also how I can prepare for the unexpected. The first one, and the most important one that I do at the beginning of the year, is to review my habits of spending time with God, my spouse, and my children. Now again, you might not be married and you might not have kids, but you understand what we're talking about here. We're talking about relationships. There is nothing more important than the relationships that you have with those who are important to you. And those relationships are strong right now, or wherever they are, they're the way they are because of the time, the intentionality that you have put into them. And that's what it takes. It takes time. It takes specific actions to make even the best relationships not only to be sustained, but to get better. And so things change in different seasons of life. I mean, the way that I interact with my kids right now is not the same that I interacted with them years ago, and I may do some things different this year. Marriages go through different seasons of life. And that's why it's so good to evaluate at least once a year, what do you want in your relationships that are closest with you to make that even better. And once you determine that, you've got to also figure out what habits can you put in place on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that if you do these things over and over again are going to help you to get the results that you want. It all starts here with this first step, just to evaluate your relationships and make plans to make them better. Secondly, I like to plan to keep my saw sharpened. Now, this is a figure of speech that was made popular by Stephen Covey, author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But even Stephen didn't create this. He got this actually from the Old Testament book of the Bible, Ecclesiastes, and in chapter 10, verse 10, listen to what it says. It says, "Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade." That's the value of wisdom. It helps you to succeed. So the whole idea here is that if you're a woodsman, and let's just take the axe analogy here, and I'm out here chopping down this tree, After a while, that blade is going to get dull. And where it seems like I was making a lot of headway at the beginning, even though I'm hitting it as hard as I was at the beginning, it's just not as effective as what it once was. Now, I'm so concerned about getting this tree chopped down because I've got a whole bunch more and I just got to keep working. I got to keep working. But what this is saying is that if I would just take time to sharpen the axe, to sharpen the saw, it'll go so much easier, so much more effectively. You know what a good nap will do for you. There are some times you feel like you're just swimming through mud, your brain isn't working, your motivation isn't there, you get a good night's sleep, and everything changes. And so really what we're talking about here is taking regular breaks to recharge in whatever way that's going to work best for you to make sure that you're at your best, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every area of our life. Recently, I just asked my Facebook friends, listen, if you had 2 hours to do whatever it is that you wanted to do to recharge, what is it that you would do? A lot of great answers. Some of the ones right off the bat were things like I'd take a walk, I'd go to, maybe the beach, I'd go to the spa, I would read, I'd go on a date. One that was pretty popular was I'd take a nap, and I get that. In fact, I've said many times, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is to take a nap. But whatever it is, you need to schedule times as needed to make sure that you are going to be your best for those that you love and for your optimum productivity as well. That brings us to step number 3, plan family vacations and special family events. Whatever vacation time that you have allotted to you, let's assuming that you're working for somebody else and you've got a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't care what it is, take it. Some companies allow their employees, generously, I'll have to admit, to cash in their vacation time. Not take it, but to take the money. Listen, don't do that. You need to recharge. You need to use that time to build family memories, because I want to tell you something, you will not remember that extra cash at the end of your life. But what will make the difference are the memories and the family traditions. Those are the things that matter. And that's the stuff that happens when you take great family vacations and you build other family events where you can get together. So plan for those things with the same kind of intensity that you would for your investment portfolio. Because I want to tell you something, at the end of your life, it's going to be more important than your money. That's it. Plan family vacations and special family events. Number 4, you need to review your giving and saving habits. This is what I do. Because normally one of the things that we all do at the beginning of the year when we're setting goals is we think about how much money we'd like to make. And we want to make more, and there's no problem with that. I love that, and that's great. God bless you. Prosper. Make $1 million this year. But instead of just approaching this and just saying, I want to make so much, and just grabbing a number out of the air, I have found that it is much more helpful for me to take this approach and to think about how much I want to give and how much I want to save for my future and for my family's needs. That gives me a much better perspective. I want to be a giver. I want to be able to not only have my own needs met, but I want to be able to bless other people and other organizations that are important to me. I want to prepare for my family's future. And so every year, I want to increase my giving. I want to increase my saving, which means that I need to increase my income. But here's the best way that I have found to do that for me. The best way for me is to honor God with 10% of my income, no matter what it is. It's the biblical principle of tithing. And I want to tell you something. I have been doing this for over 3 decades right now, and I have never seen it fail. That every time when I put God and His purposes first place, He always prospers me. Not only do I continue to increase, but then I'm able to increase my giving to other people. I'm able to increase my savings for my family. It's important to think about what it is that you want to give this year and what it is you want to save up for. And then that determines how much money that you need to make, and trust God to help you to do that. Number 5, I like to measure my health, particularly now that I'm getting even older. But it's important for everybody, I think, just to get a checkup from a qualified health provider each and every year. Now, there's a lot of things that you can monitor on your own. I know I check my own blood pressure. I even order my own blood test to kind of keep track of my cholesterol levels and inflammation levels. But the important thing here is that you got to stay informed. Be proactive. Don't bury your head in the sand. There are some people who just say, well, man, I'm concerned what the doctor's going to tell me. Well, my gosh, if you've got an opponent out here, don't you want to know who he is and where he is and what he's planning on doing? Prevention is so much easier and so much better than cure. And so you want to stay on top of this. And this is just another thing that's good to plan on at the beginning of the year, to measure your health, take some steps forward, get the checkup if you need to. Number 6 is to update my financial information list. Now, if you're not really sure what this is, I wrote a whole blog post about this. In fact, I've put the link to it in the summary notes of this video. But this all comes, my being so adamant about this comes from the years that I served as a pastor and helping to support other people who have gone through they're needing to rebound after the death of a spouse. And too often the surviving spouse, and generally that's the wife, they come to this time where their partner is not there. And let's just even say that the husband was a great provider, took care of all of these details, was very meticulous. But he was so good just taking care of his wife, he never really shared with her the details. And now all of a sudden, she doesn't know where the investments are. She doesn't know what insurance they have, who their agents are, where they're storing their important documents. And I want to tell you something. It is tough enough to have to deal with the loss of a lifelong partner. So don't make it worse on your spouse or on your family by forcing them to have to dig and hunt for all of this financial stuff. So a simple financial information list will include things like just the basic information of your bank accounts, the bank, the account numbers, cash values at least as of a certain date, insurance policies and insurance coverages, a safe deposit box if you have one, where are the keys? What bank is it in? Where is it located? Insurance agents, what are their contact information and the insurance policy numbers and coverages? If you have a financial planner, what's his contact information and just location of all important documents? These are things that can be kept on just a single spreadsheet, and just keep that thing in a place where both you and your spouse know where it is. You may not get excited about it because it's talking about something unpleasant in the inevitable future, but it'll make you feel good by just having it there. Update it regularly, because we're all going to go the way of all flesh one of these days, so you might as well be prepared for those that you love. The next thing that I like to do at the beginning of the year is review my will or my trust. And this is the same principle as the above. Nobody wants to think about their death, but we know it's going to happen one of these days. So just take a few minutes at the beginning of the year, make sure that everything is in order, and then you can get on with the rest of your life. You don't have to think about it again till next year. And if you don't have a will or a trust right now, you can do it even just really simply. Even if you can't afford an attorney or a CPA or something like that, all you got to do is go to LegalZoom.com, and that can at least get you started very inexpensively, and to make sure that these things are covered at least for right now. Number 8 is to review my insurance coverage. You might want to be sure, you want to be sure rather, that those who are dependent upon you are going to be taken care of in case you check out of here prematurely. You don't have to get fancy. You don't have to do something super expensive. Just simple term life insurance will do. But work with a good financial planner to determine what it is that you need and make sure that you are providing for your family. Number 9 is to create a video inventory of my home and possessions. Now, if you've ever been through an insurance claim, you know that, man, they want to know the details of everything that was damaged or lost, and they want to know when you bought it and a description of it and all that stuff. And it's overwhelming to think about building this huge inventory of all of your worldly possessions. And one of the things that I started doing a number of years ago was a simpler way to do this. And that was just to grab my smartphone and to go through my home, just do a simple walkthrough and video anything of any value whatsoever. Now, granted, in the unfortunate situation that something does come about and I'm going to have to get more information later on, great. But at least I know I have this mental jog. I can go back to this video and it will remind me, yeah, it was this and this and this, and I can begin to put all of that information together and I don't have to do it from memory. So do the video, keep it safe someplace. Hopefully you won't need it, but if you do, you're going to be thankful for it. And action step number 10 is just simply, I like to review my credit report. Now, I've got to tell you, I actually don't even really give a rip about my credit score anymore. And that is because several years ago, I became a Dave Ramsey guy and I stopped borrowing. So the credit score really doesn't apply to me all that much. But what I am concerned about is my reputation. I want to make sure that my reputation, my financial reputation, isn't on the line just because something got recorded wrong or somebody made a mistake. And the cool thing is that the federal government allows you to get a free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 major nationwide consumer spending companies each and every year, or at least every 12 months. And you can do that very simply at annualcreditreport.com. I don't get all 3 of them at the same time every year. I like to stagger them every 4 months. And so that way I'm getting one every 4 months, and it's always from one of the big 3, and I get my annual copy from them in the course of a year. Just a good way just to make sure that you know what's being said about you and to make sure that the records are accurate. So that's my action list for the new year. And you don't have to wait for the new year to do these things, man. You can take action on any or all of these things no matter what time of the year it is. And there's absolutely nothing sacred about my particular list. I'm just offering this to you as a way just to kind of get the wheels turning a little bit and to get you thinking about how you can make your own list. Now, you may, however, in looking through this, even though you may be good on a lot of these things, perhaps you're saying, man, that one thing was really good. I need to do that. Well, then do something about it. I want you to decide right now that you're going to take action on that this week. Schedule it on your calendar, write it down on your to-do list, and take some action. Decide when you're going to do that, because if you don't, it's going to be a good idea again 12 months from now when maybe you think about it again, but it won't have taken place. So at least take some action right now so that you can be better prepared for the rest of the year and make it even better. I hope that this has been helpful. If you'd like to stay up to date here with future videos, all you got to do is go to KirbyAndersen.com and subscribe to my email newsletter. As always, everything that I'm putting out there for you guys is just to help you to live better, to love more, and to leave the legacy that you desire. Have a great day. Stay on target.